Well, hello everyone and welcome to Rhys Thomas Tours. My name is Rhys Thomas. I am a London Blue Badge tourist guide, and this week it will be my pleasure to show you some highlights of this area, Canary Wharf. Now, Canary Wharf is a very modern area. This development has been going on for the last 30 years or so. It is continuously developing. This is now the secondary business district here in London, after the City of London, which for about 2,000 years has been the centre of trade and commerce here in Britain. But this area, Canary Wharf, has been building up and up and up, and it is a true rival for the City of London. But Canary Wharf isn't all about business, it's not all about trade. There is a lot to offer here as a visitor, and I would like to use this vlog to take you around some highlights of this area. Now, Canary Wharf sounds like it's an area that should have docklands here. Well, that's exactly what this area used to be. You can see this row of warehouses here. This is all that survives of what was the West India Company docks. Now, the West India Company didn't trade with India, they trade with the West Indies. Now, so we're talking about the Caribbean. This is where they would be bringing all the sugar, the rum, the coffee. About a quarter of the nation's wealth was coming in to this area. And this docks was funded by a man called Robert Millikan, who up until a few weeks ago you would have seen on this pedestal here. You may have seen in the news that this statue was taken down after request by the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, as part of the Black Lives Matter campaign, because Robert Millikan, he was a slave trader. Now, a lot of that money was coming into this country because of the terrible treatment of slaves working out in countries like Jamaica, bringing in that sugar. Now, if you'd like to learn about the slave trade, there is an excellent, very moving exhibition here in the Museum of London Docklands, which is an excellent museum. It is a free museum. Normally you could just turn up and go straight in. Of course, right now with COVID-19 restrictions, you have to book online in advance. They're allowing in 30 people every 15 minutes. So it's all very safe if you would like to go and attend this excellent museum. But now I'd like to take you to see some of the artwork that Canary Wharf has to offer. Now, here we can see a sculpture called Couple on a Seat by Lynn Chadwick. Now, Lynn Chadwick, who started his work back in the Second World War, was an innovative sculptor who would create these semi-abstracted figures. He's particularly known for making these figures of couples where you have the man who has a square head and a woman who has a triangle head. And you will see these sculptures all around the world. In fact, probably most famously in London, he has figures like this just above the door in Fortnum and Mason's department store. Now, here we can see this really beautiful sculpture. This is officially titled Drape-Seated Woman, but it is more commonly known as Old Flo. Now, Old Flo was made by one of the greatest sculptors of the 20th century, Sir Henry Moore. Now, the Yorkshire-born artist Henry Moore made this to give the people living in a council estate here in the Isle of Dogs something to make the area a bit more pleasant. Unfortunately, the council estate was demolished, and this sculpture was without an official home, and it was recently brought back here in 2017. However, the artist Henry Moore probably would be quite horrified to find it here in this capitalist area, as it was meant to be a gift for this council estate. And throughout Canary Wharf at the moment, you will see lots of sculptures by this artist, Helen Blumenfeld. Now, she has got this very distinctive style of using these abstract forms that have got these very hard exteriors, and you can see the interiors. And she works with a range of media from bronze, terracotta, marble, and you will see these throughout Canary Wharf at the moment. This exhibition was only meant to be for a few months, but it's recently been extended until January this year. So if you would like to see her works, then come here to see this wonderful free exhibition. Now, probably the most familiar building of Canary Wharf to many of you watching is 1 Canada Square. Now, this for 20 years, from 1991 to 2011, was the tallest building in Britain at 50 stories, 770 feet or 235 meters tall. It was designed by an Argentinian architect called Cesar Pelli, who created some of the tallest buildings in the world, but sadly died last summer. Now, one of the wonderful things about this building is that it was made of materials that used to be imported into the docklands here, including that steel you see on the outside. This is Welsh steel brought from Port Talbot in South Wales. Canary Wharf is now switching from being primarily a business district to having lots of residences built. This tall tower you can see with the crosses going down it, this is Newhaven Key. This still seems to have construction workers working on it, but when I come here at night I can see lots of lights on the inside, so I believe it does have residents here now. This was the first major residential tower to open here in Canary Wharf. It's a very thin building, and so the wind here, created by the River Thames and all the tall buildings around it, mean that this had to be constructed in a way that it could actually sway forward and backwards and still stay safe. But this is one of the many new residences you'll find here in Canary Wharf. Let's go and have a look at another one. Now here you can see a very strange building under construction, almost completed now. This is officially titled One Park Drive, which is its address, but it is nicknamed the Combination Lock Building. I love that title. Now you can see that it's got these three very distinct different phases. Well, these are different types of apartments depending on how much of a balcony you get, how much space there is, how much light there is, what sort of view you get. All of these things will factor into the costs of living in this building, which is by one of the greatest architectural firms, Herzog & de Meuron, which is a Swiss architectural firm who also designed the Tate Modern Art Gallery. Now, one of the most important things in the development of the Canary Wharf estate was building a tube station, because this area was previously in derelict docklands area. It wasn't very well connected with the London transport system. Now they built the Docklands Light Railway, commonly known as the DLR, which was completely new, but using old unused train lines and bridges. But it was the tube system that Canary Wharf really needed if it was ever to truly succeed. So they built this station connected to the Jubilee line, and it was designed by one of our most popular architects, Lord Norman Foster, who I've talked about in my videos on the Gherkin and on the Millennium Bridge. Now, this station inside is as large as one Canada Square, tilted on its side. So this is a truly vast station. Inside it looks rather space age. In fact, it has been used as a film set in the Star Wars movie Rogue One. It starred as a spaceport in that film. And this is one of the busiest tube stations outside of Zone 1 on the tube map, and it has been voted in 2013 the most loved tube station in London. And something that I really like about when they built this is they built a park on the top. Now let's go and have a look at that park. So here I am in the Jubilee Gardens on top of Canary Wharf tube station. It's hard to believe that we are on a rooftop garden. It's very, very pleasing. It's got this beautiful water feature that goes throughout the square. It's got these trees. Now these trees are actually an endangered species of tree from China. Now excuse me if I pronounce this incorrectly, Metasequoia trees. And they need a lot of water, so beneath them is an irrigation system, so they're constantly being watered into their plots, and of course the roots need to be maintained so that they don't go into the tube station. Now of course we're at a time of COVID-19, so you've got these white circles for people to sit in so that they can be socially distant from each other. And you can see there's this line behind me. So everything on this side of me is real turf, but everything on the other side of me is AstroTurf. So you've got the best of both worlds, depending on what you like here. But this isn't the only modern garden here in Canary Wharf. In fact, the last thing I'm going to show you is one of my favourite features of this development. So this large structure you can see here, this is Crossrail Place. Again, designed by Lord Norman Foster, like the tube station, like the Millennium Bridge, like the Gherkin. This is built to be the new Crossrail station. This is going to be one of the various stops on the new Elizabeth line, which has been much delayed. This station, though it hasn't opened up itself, has got lots of bars and restaurants and things, but one of my favourite things about it is its rooftop garden. Let's go and take a look. So I'm upstairs now in the Crossrail Place rooftop garden. Above my head here you can see it's open to the heavens right now, but you saw those sort of bubble windows that it's got all around the building. Well, sometimes those will be added. I would have thought it's because it's the late summer right now, they don't need them, but they can protect the garden not just from the weather, but also from the wind that is built up by the tall buildings built all around Canary Wharf. Now, the thing that I particularly like about this rooftop garden is because we are just across the river from Greenwich. Now, Greenwich, I've talked about before, is where we have the Royal Observatory, and it is where the prime meridian was decided, that vertical line that goes around the globe, sort of the opposite of the equator, that divides the Eastern Hemisphere from the Western Hemisphere. Well, that line goes through this garden, and everything to the east of it are plants from the Eastern Hemisphere, and everything to the west of that line are plants from the Western Hemisphere. So just such a lovely touch to bring to this garden here. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have enjoyed it, you will find many more of these videos on my Facebook, Instagram and YouTube pages. You will find me as Rhys Thomas Tours on all of those things. If you would like to show your appreciation for these videos, you can buy me a virtual coffee on buymeacoffee.com. And if you would like to come on a tour with me, I've been certified as good to go by Visit England, then you can visit my website, rhysthomastours.com. In the meantime, I will see you in my video next Tuesday. Have a great week.